Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you've clicked on this video, there's a chance that you're going through a miscarriage, that somebody you know is going through a miscarriage, that you might have already been through a miscarriage, or you might be thinking that maybe you are possibly having a miscarriage. On the other hand, you might just be somebody who is curious as to what miscarriage is about, what actually happens, and the process of what actually goes on. Or you might be somebody who actually genuinely knows me and just wants to get a bit more understanding of what I actually went through. Now, this is not an easy video to make. It is a video that from the moment that I found out that I was actually pregnant, I knew that regardless of what had happened or what was going to happen, I would document it for myself. And so this whole video is my journey through this. So just know that this is something that is a hard thing for somebody to not only do, but to actually put out to the world, to the internet. And it's just something that, you know, I will be talking about my raw emotions, my feelings, my thoughts, and I will actually go right into detail for this video. And when I mean detail, I mean I will go into detail for you guys and for the hope that it will help somebody else. Now, my main reason and the biggest reason why I'm creating this video the way I am creating it is because when I went through this process, this journey, which you will soon see, I turned to the internet. I turned to YouTube, and that was such a powerful thing for me to really understand what was going on, what was happening, and just to have my own awareness of everything that was happening to my body. And I just want to give back to those people who put themselves out there to give other people information. Like, without those people who had put that information out previously, I wouldn't feel as knowledgeable going into this experience than I did. And I feel it is such a topic that no one really talks about, and I can understand why, because it is so painful, it is so hard, and it is a topic that, you know, you don't really want to be talking about. But unfortunately, to my surprise even, I had no clue that I think the statistics are about 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 pregnancies end in miscarriage. Now, that is a high statistic. That's like, you will know somebody who, whether they have said it or not, that has probably most likely been through something very similar to what I have been through. Someone in your family, someone in your circle, someone in your friends. You might not know anyone, and for me, I felt that way, that I felt that I didn't know anyone until this experience. So without further ado, I'm just gonna quickly put in a small warning, and I'm not gonna be apologetic about it, because I'm just hoping that if you have come to this video, it is for the right reasons. It is for more, I guess, understanding of what this process is and what actually happens, because I will be putting graphic pictures, and I'll be putting in clips of how I felt emotionally and everything like that. Like I said, this is going to be a detailed video. It is going to be a long video, and I do apologize for that, but there's no way getting around it, because this journey that I have been on, and I'm still on right now, has been over a couple of months. So to condense a couple of months into one video, or if I decide to make 2, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes on during the process of something like this. And another reason too, I'll point out why I am making this video, is because although I'm so grateful for those people that put out the information that they have on YouTube to kind of share their experiences, they weren't quite like mine. Mine seemed a lot different in many ways, and it was a long process for me. Now, I'm sorry this intro has been so long, but it needs to be explained that this video is something that I really just want to put out there to contribute not only to the conversation, to bring it up because it is such a topic that so many people go through silently, and I just feel like, wow, I just can't, and I just feel so, I wouldn't say passionate, but I feel so shocked that I didn't know more about it. I will just say one last thing. This video is going to be a montage of clips throughout my journey, and there may be points in here where I stop the video to kind of come back to communicate with you guys about kind of how I was feeling or what actually happened during that, because I couldn't have gotten all the footage or information out in that tiny little clip. So just keep that in mind, please. And yeah, I just hope that this can reach somebody who is in need of just hearing a story to connect to, because it is something so common, unfortunately so common, and it's something that there's not so much information about really. So let's get into the video, and I'm hoping I'm not gonna cry. Let's go.
I hear you breathe, but I can't see if you're right here next to me. Something's wrong, wasn't it fun? Is it now we're done? You get dressed, I'm like a mess, and you tell me to confess, and you tell me to confess. Oh, I don't know what to say, what to do, how to make you see. This is nothing in real life, it might just have been a bad dream.
The last couple of days, I have been feeling like I'm gonna get my period. And the last couple of periods that I have had, they've been maybe like a day late or like quite light. But my period was meant to be 2 days ago, and I've literally just taken a pregnancy test. I took one this morning. There was the slightest faint line. I don't know if you guys see on this, it's like evaporated, but super faint line. It's a bit evaporated. And so I thought, oh, maybe I'm just being crazy, maybe I'm just... I thought, to be honest, I thought it was going to be like I've been going to the gym too much and I've lost my period because of that. Oh my god, I'm just so shocked. Like I literally was going to wait till tomorrow, but I just couldn't wait. And I had one of these left. And this one's like an early, well, I don't know all about this, but this is like a test 6 days early kind of thing. That is so strong. That is definitely a positive. I cannot believe that right now. I cannot believe that there is something growing in me right now. Jamie's not home tonight, and I feel like I can't talk to anyone as I'm making a video. Oh my god. I want to call him so badly and just tell him, oh my god. Oh my god. I think it'd be better to tell him in person. I cannot believe this. I've been so hungry the last like 4 days, like absolutely starving. So hungry. So hungry. Like hungrier than usual. I thought it was just because I've been going to the gym a lot and like my muscles need repairing. But no. My god. Oh my god. It's 8:37 at night. Thursday, 10th of January. Oh my goodness. Like, this is not even something, it does not feel real. It literally feels so surreal right now. Like, I feel like I should take another pregnancy test just to make sure that wasn't like fake, but that is a pretty strong pregnancy test. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm literally gonna be a mom. That's so crazy. Belle. Oh. I can't wait to tell Jamie, but I wanted to call him right now, but I need to tell him in person. Okay, so I've just been to the shops. I bought another test just to make sure, one of the tests that says either yes or no, just to be 100% sure. But I'm sure 4 tests aren't lying to me, so I feel like it's happening. This is the one that tells you how many weeks, and then this one to tell, like, it just needs to be, I just need to double make sure that everything is true, because I don't know if I can trust those last tests, because the other blue one was like, the other ones were like kind of cheaper, so I feel like this will truly let me know. Okay, so just to make double sure that I'm not crazy, I've got like the proper expensive pregnancy test. It basically comes up with apparently like a yes or a no. So it says test 6 days before your missed period, 5 days before of expected period. So I'm well into that because I'm 3 days late. So I'm gonna do this and we're gonna go see. All right, so let's do this. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I knew I wasn't crazy. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so true, oh my gosh. I'm kind of wanting to take like the other test just to see how many weeks. Oh my gosh. Oh, I knew I wasn't crazy. I'm gonna clean up the house before Jamie comes, and then I'm gonna pick him up from the barge. And then what my plan is I've made this little sheet. So basically, I don't think he opened his Christmas card from Christmas, and so my plan is to say, like, hopefully I can record it and hopefully be in the kitchen, but my plan is to say, like, Jamie, you didn't open your Christmas card from Christmas. Open it, and then I'll grab it now, and then inside it, now given that my predictions are correct based off what I've read online, so this is, I have to put it in the envelope, but it was sealed before, so I've just opened it because he didn't open it for Christmas. That's a little Christmas card, but I'm going to put this, and I'll show you what's on this, and it says read me first. So he's going to be thinking he's just opening the Christmas card, and he's going to be like shocked, I think. And then I've written, welcome little one, and then I've kind of got like, because it says, I've been up for a while this morning doing this. So it says that, I'll show you, that's my apparent due date from online calculations, but I'll really wait till the doctors kind of confirm that. But it says around 5 weeks, your baby's at the size of a sesame seed, and I had black sesame seeds in my cupboard, so that is legit the size of our baby right now in my belly. It's literally like a seed. Like, how crazy is that? So, and then I'll probably like have the pregnancy test or something out and I'll like show him, or maybe I don't know, but I don't know how he's gonna react, because yesterday I told him that, like, because I said to him the other night, I was like, oh, you know, like I'm a day late on getting my period, and he's like, oh, what, are you pregnant? I'm like, oh, I don't know, and I at the time I didn't know. I was like, well, I don't know. And then yesterday I said to him, I'm getting, I told him yesterday, I've got, my girlies came today. And he's like, oh, damn it, haha. So when he gets this, when he opens this, he's gonna be like shocked. And I hope I can record it without him being like, why have you got your camera out? Or what I'm thinking of is maybe I'll like put it as if I've been doing like a makeup tutorial or something. And he'll come in and he'll be like, thinking that's fine, but he won't realise it's on record. So he just thinks it's just stationary, so see how we go. Okay, Jamie's literally gonna be here any minute now. I'm so nervous, I'm so freaked out. I don't know if he's gonna come in that way, if he's gonna go straight to the pool. I don't know, I don't even know if he's gonna... Oh my God. Oh my gosh. What is here? Hello, my darling. Hello.
Oh, nice here.
What?
What's that smelling thing you put in? Oh, the Christmas tree's gone.
Hi, yeah. I'm just looking somewhere. Wait, what I realised too. I was putting these things. You didn't even open my Christmas card.
You didn't give me a
I did.
No, you didn't.
I did. You haven't opened it. I was looking through the one. You didn't open it. I was like, why didn't you open the Christmas card? Oh my God.
No plan, though. I'm like,
You have to read that first.
this first.
Yeah. I was thinking kind of that.
I'm going to take the boots off because the seat is fucking cold on it.
Is it David? Happy with it?
Yeah. So much better with that gone.
Yeah, I know. It's like a lot more space.
And that gone.
More spacey, okay?
Yeah?
Yeah.
We need a coach though. I think. I don't know.
Lovely. We'll get one.
I don't know. Let's go on. What?
I'm a bit pregnant.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I'm being serious.
Are you talking to this?
What do you mean you're talking this? Did you not read that?
You love the first?
That's today. I took both of those today.
So you're not in the period? So you just put this in there?
But you didn't remember Christmas. I was going to tell you yesterday, but I was like, I can't do this on the phone. Jamie, we have a kid. Scary, isn't it? I was like, the first pregnancy test I took, that's the size of it right now in my belly.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say. Oh my God, I'm just like so...
Baby?
I'm dead set. I'm serious. But... job. My job. I'm gonna have it in.
Is this still doing your job?
I'm having a baby this year. I'll have it in September.
Weird talk.
I know.
I never realised I was going to fall into it.
I was just like, I haven't told anyone yet. I've been like dying to tell someone. And like, I was on the phone to you last night. I was like, I just want
Don't tell anyone until
I
the
know.
12 weeks thing.
I know that's why I
whatever it is.
haven't said anything, but I did a big food shop.
I can't handle it. Feel the weird. Good weird. I'm not bothered. The dog. I just feel a bit.
I know it's a lot to
I
process.
just can't think. I'm not taking it.
I know.
I'm taking it in.
Jamie, I know. It doesn't even feel real to me yet. I feel like so weird, but guess what? The last 4 nights.
How do you know 5 weeks?
That's basically the test that I did. It's just like what the doctors will say. Plus, I put it on my.
Right, have you been to the doctors?
No, I haven't been to the doctors, but when I was doing the pregnancy test, it has like an indicator of how that's technically. Did you go look at the?
Not yet, no.
How was the?
Oh, well, I'm just getting a bit warm.
Oh my god.
I'm a little warm at the moment.
That is a real sesame seed. I'm not going to pantry. I just don't, like, I'm still in shock. I'm still.
So it's the 10th of September.
That's a due date.
He's not Leo.
I think it's a Virgo. Unless it comes early.
So what did you think?
I was just like, I can't. Like, I was just shocked, just like
So
you.
you don't think, oh, this is bad?
I didn't think it was bad. I just thought, like, obviously, we're going to get married and stuff like that. Which is like, it doesn't matter because people try for ages to get pregnant. So I'm just like, if it was meant to be, it'll be. Wait, look. So that was December. And I'm like, from now, 2 terms, and then I have holiday because in September I'll have a baby. Oh my god, your mum's gonna be like, what the heck? Oh. I think that's the amazing birthday. I was just like,
You have to go to the doctors and get properly done, though.
Jamie, I know, but I've done 6 and they've all come up positive. I've done 6 pregnancy tests.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are they?
In the box. The first one 2 days ago, no, 3 days ago I did one and it came up like nothing. Then the day after that, it was this super faint line, like it wasn't even, I was like, am I a crazy woman right now? Is that like even a line? It's like super like really faint, but I was like putting it up into this like, into the light, like, is that, how is it not? It's like, nah, probably not.
Have you saw Bella?
Helen was with me. It kind of hit me a little bit yesterday, and then I was like, kind of snapped out of it because it just doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel.
You text me saying you've come on your period, though.
I know, I was pretending that I could do this. Because I didn't want you to, I wanted it to be a surprise.
I've never felt like this before.
Have you not?
No.
It's like.
I feel like I'm buzzing. Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know how to tell you. I just didn't want to do it over the phone. So now that spare room's going to have to be a baby's room.
How good is it?
Oh my god, goodness gracious. So I don't know when I'm going to tell Karina or Kamina.
Well, you've got to tell.
Mum and Dad?
Yeah.
Your mum and Dad, your brother, and
Yeah.
And then I have to like 2 months into like me working, I have to be like, I can only do 2 terms because surprise, I'm pregnant. Just like, oh my god. Oh, Terry.
We'll have to get little things on the door so we can bring it out of time for a baby seat for the cat!
We do. Oh my god. But
Oh,
it would be a sister or a brother. Wait.
that'd be sweet.
I'm like so hungry. Like I'm starving right now. I'm like starving. Oh my god. I'm like starving. Oh my god.
Oh, the sign. What did we do at Christmas?
I know. I was thinking about that photo as well. Like,
So you would have been pregnant then?
I don't have.
Who's that? Who's that?
I was.
Nice fucking sperm works.
Oh my
Just
god.
thought the street. Thought the street was sperm works. Get in.
What did you
Come on, have a look and walk with me.
I just want to give a little bit of context to my situation. Now, this is something that I always found interesting when I was watching other people's videos, because I kind of wanted to find out how old are they and what their situation was. I don't know why I wanted to know, but I just wanted to kind of compare in a way where I guess could process it better. So anyway, my context is basically I'm 24 years old. I am engaged to my lovely fiance. His name is Jamie. We weren't trying for a baby, but it was something that we had spoken about trying to start a family this year in November 2019. Now, of course, as you'll see within the video, it was a massive surprise, a good surprise, and it was something that we always knew that we were kind of going to have kids together. So it wasn't something that both parties were going to receive negatively. So it was something that we were quite positive about from the get-go. And although it was such a shock and a little bit scary and surreal at the first moment of finding out, it was something that I knew that we both were on the same page about. So I will just say, although I'm 24, my partner is 34, so he is a little bit older than me. We're 10 years apart. And so that does play a bit of a role as well in our maturity levels. Like, I feel that him being the age that he is, he would be ready to start a family, and I feel like I'm a little bit older mentally in my head, if that makes any sense. So I think, like I said before, if a surprise like this happened, it wouldn't have been received negatively, and it would always have been wanted. So I'll just say that. That's my context, that's my situation. I'm going to show you some clips because it's so hard to really truly understand something without visually seeing it. I'm a visual learner and I like to see things visually, and it helps me understand them better. So that's why I've included all of these clips instead of just jumping into my miscarriage story straight away. So we did have some really nice moments together through this journey, through this experience, and I don't want to forget them either or disinclude them, despite how much of a crappy situation that this is.
A bit better today, but I've been shit the last day.
You take a seat on my cup of tea.
They're really...
I bought this in Christmas pudding.
Oh yes. Mum, we might have to...
She's a handful.
What?
Oh. We might have to postpone our wedding.
Why?
That's right, it's up to
It's a
you.
little bit longer.
Yes, financial.
No,
That's okay.
it's something.
As long as you are together,
Mum.
that's the main thing.
Mum.
Oh, we're together, alright.
It's been a bit surprised when I'm actually pregnant.
You real? Oh, that's a good news.
You know when you said last week?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't
I mean, I
know.
was pregnant at Christmas. I'm 6 weeks.
Really? 6 weeks already?
Yeah.
Oh, 6 weeks is nothing, it's
It's
that.
only a little.
Yeah.
1 year difference with you.
I know, so we're going to be like...
Don't tell me about Kimi coming as
Yeah, sorry to do that to you.
No, that's all right.
Oh my god.
That's
That's sorry. That's fine.
So, yeah, so I'm only going to go do 2 terms at school.
Oh,
And
it's
then...
okay.
You're not
No,
gonna
when you
get
get married, you get a flower girl already coming up to you. That was
I
exciting.
know, so...
Yeah, that's alright now. care of yourself and
Yeah.
you eat the right food.
She always does. She's good on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Making me eat the right food as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
Plenty of
that's
folate, plenty of green.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
very important. Folates.
Spinach and stuff.
Yeah, any
This will
green
be very noisy now.
I was like, the next year we're going to 2 babies. Come
Yeah.
in the
I
night.
know.
Yeah.
Christmas. Oh dear.
So, we are on our way to our first ultrasound appointment.
Hey, honey.
So, our little baby's gonna watch this when it's like older. He's like, I was in Mummy's belly. And Daddy was driving me. Oh my gosh. Yeah. My belly is just like full of water. And I feel like I need to pee.
I need to wait.
You need to wait as well? Are you nervous?
No.
No, I don't think so. Alright, we'll stop it there. The very first ultrasound was on Monday the 21st of January, and I thought I was 6 weeks and a few days along. Now, going to that appointment, I was quite nervous. Like, although I felt like I wanted to be happy and excited and just like over the moon about everything, I just had this deep set kind of anxiety, nervousness. I think that is sort of normal for anyone to feel who's going for their first ultrasound, because you don't know what to expect, especially this being my very first pregnancy. I didn't know what to expect when we went actually into the ultrasound. So you would have seen a clip that I included in the video of Jamie driving me to the ultrasound, but I didn't include a clip of going into the ultrasound room or anything like that. So basically I walked into that ultrasound hopeful and excited because it was our first ultrasound. You know, I remember looking at Jamie saying like, oh, are you nervous? Because deep down I was really nervous and I felt like this really strong feeling. And when I look back at some of the videos I have watched, when I think back to some of the videos I have watched, one strong feeling that a lot of these women feel is like a feeling of nervousness and a feeling of like something not being quite right. And I guess can say I kind of felt that a little bit as well, but I didn't know exactly what that feeling was at the time. I just felt nervous, but in a different kind of way. So basically in that ultrasound, the lady was very nice at the beginning. She was like, oh hey, how you going? I'm doing an ultrasound today. I said, yeah, thank you. She's like, oh, how are you feeling? Are you quite full? And I was like, yep, I've had lots of water. And I'm quite full. So she's like, oh, that's good. So she told me to lay on the bed. I laid on the bed, had a smile on her face. She said, okay, I'm just gonna lift your top up. And she got the little ultrasound thing and then started putting like the gel on my belly and then kind of moving the ultrasound thing around. I don't know what it's called, terminology, I'm sorry. So she did that and she kind of just went quiet and she didn't say a lot. She was just looking and all I could hear kind of was like click, 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 like she was just taking pictures. So she was really moving it around and she was just very quiet and didn't say a lot. So for me, I didn't know anything about what to expect really. I didn't know how to read the screen. I didn't know, being so new, I was just, I guess, wrapped around the fact that I was positive on a pregnancy test, that I didn't know what to expect when I came to the ultrasound. So looking at the screen, I saw something that was like a black shape, kind of looked like that, and I will insert a picture of my very first scan. And yeah, it was just black and it was just kind of, that was it. And so she said to me, how far along are you? And I said, I think I'm about 6 weeks and a few days, according to my calculations. So she wasn't saying a lot, but she did say, well, I can't really see anything at the moment. We can see the gestational sac there, but why don't we try the transvaginal ultrasound? And usually that can pick up a few more details and see a clearer picture. So I was like, okay, that's not a problem. At this point I was thinking, oh, nothing, had no inclination of anything being wrong, just because I never had been to an ultrasound. But I think looking back, for the fact that I had to go through not only one ultrasound but 2 ultrasounds, like on my belly and also transvaginally, kind of was like a bit of a red flag for me as well. So she did the transvaginal one, and the same thing, she couldn't see much on the screen. It was very hard to see really anything actually in the sac. You could see the sac but nothing really inside it. So when I said, oh, so like what's going on kind of thing, she said, oh, well, I'll send your results to your doctor and she can discuss that with you. At the moment, I can't confirm a pregnancy, which was mind-boggling for me, because I had just taken, you know, pregnancy tests that had all come up positive. So she said, yeah, I can't confirm the pregnancy yet, but you could still be quite early on. So I'll give you your results to your doctor, and they probably will rebook a scan in a few weeks' time to see. My partner said, so that gestational sac, is that usually there, or is that something, like, is she pregnant, or like, and she basically said, well, yeah, I can't confirm it because there are sometimes things in the uterus that look that shape, which aren't actually a pregnancy. So until we can like see the yolk sac, then I can't confirm the pregnancy. That was a bit of a bummer, going through that as my very first ultrasound. I left that appointment thinking and just feeling just really deflated, to be honest. I thought in my head I'd go into this appointment, you know, would see something in there, would be like, oh my gosh, we're so excited, and we'd get to have the picture. And although we never saw anything in that scan, I'm glad we asked for a picture. And it was just sad because when we asked for a picture of the little sac, I know there wasn't anything in there, but she kind of looked at me as though like, why do you want a picture of this? But I'm glad I got one because it just is the part of the journey, and I'm glad I have that. So that was the first ultrasound. I was feeling very, very upset when I left and very deflated, and I think I probably even had a little cry in the car when we got back into the car, because like I said, I was feeling that really nervous, anxious feeling, and it just wasn't what you wanted for your first ultrasound. I'm on my way to work and I'm just like so confused about this whole situation. I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired. I'm just like literally not in the right headspace. But I'm just trying my best to get through each day. We have our doctor's appointment, sorry, I'm on an angle. We have our doctor's appointment on Saturday. I can't even think. On Saturday, so that will kind of like determine what's going on. Yeah, I'm just like personally, I'm just like mentally preparing myself because it's just so confusing right now. You can see I'm so tired, my eye bags are just, oh my gosh. Anyways, I'm just going to try and do the best I can today and just put it to the back of my head. Still hopeful, but yeah, I just feel like, yeah, it's, anywho's, I'm gonna head off and might keep up to date with you after the ultrasound. It's just been such a confusing time, and just I don't even know how to like feel for some of it. It's just really weird, a really weird time when we're like in this limbo stage. Anyway, I'm off. See ya. Now for our second ultrasound, because of our first ultrasound, I didn't bother recording anything. I don't think I have any clips or anything because I was just quite deflated from the first ultrasound, so I didn't feel like taking any footage. But our second ultrasound was on the 15th of February, so that was a few weeks later. basically, same thing happened. We came in, she kind of greeted us nicely. So I laid on the bed again. Like, the way she wasn't as like, not an awkward like interaction, but it was almost as if like she didn't want to get too close, kind of just in case she might have had her own feelings about what was actually happening in the pregnancy. Being able to see so many ultrasounds, you know, that's her job. She sees so many different women's ultrasounds and whatnot, so she might have had her own thoughts about what was actually going on with mine. So when we did the ultrasound, it was just kind of very quiet this time. In my mindset, I just was like, I know what I'm supposed to see this time, because it had been a couple of weeks. I had been following a few different apps on my phone, and I had, during that waiting to get our next ultrasound, I honestly did like so much research. I can probably tell you I had watched over 100, probably even 200 videos on YouTube about different types of miscarriages, and I specifically looked for what I was going through, and I didn't find a lot, but yeah, it was just hard, and I knew what I was looking for this time. So I felt like, because I had done all that research online before I came to this appointment, I sort of knew exactly what to expect and what I should really be seeing. So I was looking at the screen, like focusing all my concentration on the screen. I didn't bother like trying to start any conversations with her, and neither did she for me. So I just was laying there. I was just laying there and I was just staring at the screen. As soon as she put the gel on, she grabbed the thingamajig, whatever it's called again, put it on my belly, and she was moving it around again. But it wasn't as like deep this time. She moved it around a little bit, and then she kind of paused, and we saw the sac, and it had gotten bigger, and there was something in it, which there was nothing in there before. So for Jamie, his eyes lit up and he had a massive smile on his face, and he kind of like tapped me on the foot. He's like, Adrina, like, look, there's something there. But little did he know, like, my face was a blank wall. It was not smiling, it was not happy, because although the gestational sac had gotten bigger, that is not what I should have seen for how far along I was. And I think at that time I would have been 8 or 9 weeks. So by 8 or 9 weeks you should see a little body, like a little fetus. And because during that week before I went to this appointment, I had looked at my sister's ultrasound. My sister was quite heavily pregnant when I was going through this, and she sent me her 7-week ultrasound, and I can tell you right now that her 7-week ultrasound, there was a lot more going on in her ultrasound than there was at mine, and I was like 8-9 weeks along by this time. So I knew, I really felt deep down, yes, I know that it's not right. It's probably not going to be like viable. And that was very, very hard to take and very hard mentally. The lady who was doing my ultrasound didn't say much, but only when I kind of prompted or when I sort of asked. Because I basically said, and I didn't want to be pessimistic, but I am realistic in ways as well. So I just wanted to use my logical side of my brain to say, look, if it is a miscarriage, what do you think, from your professional experience, what do you think it could be? Like, what's going on here? And she basically said, look, you really need to probably see your doctor to see the results, but from what I can see, there's a possibility of 2 things. One, that it could be a blighted ovum, or the second, maybe that you're not as far along as you thought. Which, in my mind, because of how things kind of happened, my dates were quite right. I was tracking my cycle on the period app called Flow. I had been tracking it for 1.5 years. I should have probably mentioned this in my context, but I didn't end up squishing it in there, so I will just mention it now. So basically, I had been off the pill for about maybe a year and 6 or 7 months, so more than a year and a half. And nothing had happened, and we've been tracking our cycle that way, or I've been tracking my cycle that way. And Jamie and I obviously knew kind of when my ovulation period was, and we kind of tracked it in that way. Because I think I ovulated earlier than what my app predicted, which it generally was right every single time, that's how this kind of came to be and came to happen. So yeah, she basically, the lady at the ultrasound said, there's a very high chance that it could be a blighted ovum, or you're just not as far along as you thought. But in my mind, yeah, my dates were pretty on par, and it wasn't that. So for starters, when she said blighted ovum, I had no clue what a blighted ovum even was. That word had never ever come up in any conversation I had ever had in my entire life. Not with any pregnant women, not with anybody that I knew. It just never came up. So unfortunately, I had no idea what a blighted ovum was, and I looked like a bit of a dummy there, thinking like, okay, so is that a bad thing, a good thing? What is it? Like, what's a blighted ovum? And I asked her to kind of explain, and she kind of explained it very briefly. She didn't go into too much depth, and if I'm bringing any, I might be bringing, when I tell this story here, I might be bringing some of the information that I've researched about, but basically she said, look, it's where the gestational sac grows, but there's no fetus, and the fetus doesn't develop. So in a nutshell, for the way I can understand it, is imagine like a house, but no one's home. Like, it didn't get past stage 1, so the foundation is there, and it's a strong, sturdy house, but there's just nothing in there that's growing. Despite us seeing the yolk sac in there, which had grown and wasn't in the last ultrasound, so that was a bit of growth there. But yeah, it was a little bit confusing, and I had to do a lot of research online about blighted ovums. And when I did, the more I researched into it, the more I could see the similarities in what was happening to me, and I could see that this is probably what I'm going through. This is probably it. So during that time, after that ultrasound, again, feeling absolutely like, what is going on? I'm so confused. I'm in this massive limbo stage of, is it a viable pregnancy? Is it not? Have they misdiagnosed me? Like, there were so many things running through my head that I just didn't know how to feel really at times. And it wasn't until obviously we went to the doctor's appointment that I could actually even get those results. So the doctor's appointment wasn't until the 23rd of February. We had to wait 8 days until we could get those results back. So I waited the 8 days. I did so much research, so much in fact that when I went into that appointment, I knew, I knew what the doctor would say to me. And for like, some people say, don't research, don't look up on Google. If you Google things, you know, it's not good for you. And I get that, and I definitely can see that side of it. But if you're a person like me that can handle things, if you can understand like exactly what's going on, then I don't think researching and finding out things for yourself is a bad thing. Like, I found that because I did so much research, that really helped me mentally process what was actually going on and what was happening. Because at the last doctor's appointment, she didn't clarify anything. She just kind of said, we'll send you in for another scan and we'll see how you go. And so when the lady who did the ultrasound said to me it could be a blighted ovum, it was very shocking, and I was like, okay, this is a new realm that I don't know about, so I need to do the research. And blighted ovums are not something that, they're not caused by anything that you did or ate or anything like that. What a blighted ovum is, because the gestational sac is there, so you've got your sperm and you've got your egg, and they obviously meet together, they create conception, and then they implant into the uterus, and then they create obviously the home of the baby. However, during that process, chromosome abnormalities, there's not enough genetic coding to actually create the next step, which is the baby forming, at least not successfully. And that was how I understood it and how I took that on board. Because it was so hard when you, like, in a situation like this, you think like, holy crap, was it something that I did? Was it because I worked out too much? Was it like something that I ate? Was it because, you know, certain things? But in my case, because it was, and it generally is, when you have a blighted ovum, is generally because of genetic abnormalities. There is nothing I could have done, and there's nothing that I did do to affect that, because when you just get DNA that does have genetic faults and they connect, it wasn't anything that you did prior or anything like that. It's just, I guess, luck in a way. It's the draw of, did this, like, this faulty egg or this faulty sperm has connected up, and that was the one that started the baby, but it wasn't a healthy either or. But it was never in the part of, oh, you've eaten this, or you've done too much working out, or, you know, it wasn't like that. And that's what's hard to kind of process, because it's like, you can see kind of a silver lining in it all, in a way where you know that like the human body is such an intricate, amazing thing, especially when you go through something like this. Your body is quite a smart organism, and it knows that something's not quite right, and that's when it probably will like end the pregnancy or won't progress. And if it had been the fact that it did progress, there could have been a chance, obviously, with, you know, who knows, deformities, like, I don't know, I'm not sure. But in my case, that's how I perceived it, and it was hard to really think of it in that way, because, again, I guess when you are pregnant, it's like the stigma of you've done something if it wasn't right. But that is so not the case. So not the case. And statistically, because it's such a high statistic, 1 in 4, like, there is just so many things that I can, like, I think scientists and doctors still are finding out information, and they still can't fully explain. But they put it down at this point to genetic abnormalities, and that is what it is. And when I have researched further into that as well, like, honestly, the chances of like an egg and a sperm connecting are like so amazing. Everything has to be in the right spot, and the sperm have to go through such a journey to even reach the egg. And if you think of it too, when you think of IVF, the sperm and the eggs are put into like these little punnet things, and not all of them even get fertilized, and they're right there. So if you think about that in the human body and all the stuff that the sperms actually have to do to even get to the egg, it's just incredible. And yeah, I'm sorry I'm ranting on about that, but it's just so true. But anyway, I'll just sum the second ultrasound up, basically being, it wasn't very helpful in knowing where we stood with it being a viable or unviable pregnancy at that point, and it was quite frustrating trying to work it out on my own, and just trying to like be like hopeful to say, oh, maybe it's a misdiagnosed one, or, you know, because you do have stories of people being misdiagnosed for a blighted ovum, but and then they end up having healthy pregnancies. And I looked into that as well, and it just, as much as I wanted to be so hopeful for that, I just felt like it wasn't the case for me. And that was really hard, really hard. We really just had to wait to the doctor's appointment to see what was actually going on. So I'm just going to quickly briefly talk about that doctor's appointment on Saturday the 23rd of February. So just a little bit after the second ultrasound. Basically we went into the doctor and she was very apologetic. She really connected in a way that she felt sad, and she felt sorry that this had to happen to me, because she knew I was excited. She knew it was like my first pregnancy from the first appointment. And she's like, you know, Adrina, I'm very, very sorry to tell you this news. I've been quite sad this morning of having to tell you this, but it looks and it's very highly suggestive of your pregnancy not being viable, and that it is a blighted ovum, and it is confirmed as a blighted ovum. However, if you do want to, just to make sure, do another ultrasound in 1 to 2 weeks, then I'm happy to do that for you. And so I basically said, yes, that's what I would like to do. I would like to do another ultrasound in 1 to 2 weeks, just to make sure that it's not viable. It would have really hurt to know that if it could have been a viable one and I cut it off too soon, and so I definitely wanted to hold out for a little longer to do another ultrasound to see what was actually going on, and whether the gestational sac had grown, or whether it had collapsed, or I don't know what it was supposed to do.
Across the board, and I'm going to actually change this behavior so that I don't have to wait. So you'll have to wait. You know, awesome. Much smarter than we give them credit for. You know what I mean? The right way. You've been teaching. They know how to act. Oh, you gotta wait. You gotta come back. They know the deal. They wait. They come back. May I have more milk, please? Every turn. So I hope that same awesome results. I hope.
So you would have seen in that video that I experienced very severe cramping 3 days after me being technically diagnosed with a blighted ovum. I will just say I didn't have the best diet that day, so I did eat some pretty crappy food, and I don't know whether that had any part or role to play in that. Because it was very severe. But the cramps that I felt, now I'm thanking God that they only had lasted for half an hour, but they were like every kind of 3 to 4 and sometimes like 5 minutes apart for that half an hour. And it was just like excruciating. Like I'd never felt that kind of abdominal pain before. Like I've had period pains before, and they've hurt, but it was not like this. It was like this was something else. Like I was bent over, like breathing and just like trying to breathe through them because it hurt so bad. It literally brought me to tears. And I didn't include this in the clip, but I did actually even vomit. I think whether that had been the food that I ate that day, or whether that had to do with the pregnancy itself, like telling my body, nah, this is not right, like stop everything. Like I don't really know, but during that time, and I just thought to myself, because I was home alone at that point, and I was like, this is just such a crap situation to be in. Like it just really was. It really was. I just want to say I'm really sorry if my face is getting all shiny and crazy, but it is getting late at night. It's 10:25 and I need to wrap this up soon. So after we were diagnosed with the blighted ovum, the first basically 2 weeks of March, I started to feel like very light cramping. and it was very strange, but I was also feeling kind of these belly wobbles. Now I say belly wobbles because it literally felt like the first time it happened I was like, holy crap, that felt like if there was a real baby in there that it had literally kicked, or it could like, it just touched like my belly. It was such a strange feeling, and a feeling that I haven't felt before, and it really made me question what it was. So during those 2 weeks of March, I actually built up the courage, because I am a teacher, for those people that don't know my job being a teacher, and this year I'm actually working with special needs children. And so I was so grateful that I was able to have really supportive people from the school. Now just keep in mind, I just started this new job at this school, and no one really knows me that well yet. But I've been working with my teacher aide for a couple of months now, and I finally kind of built up the courage to kind of tell her what's going on. So on the 12th of March, a Tuesday, I told my teacher aide, and I said basically what was going on, and my voice cracked so bad because it had been the first person I had told that was out of my family in person, face to face, what had been going on. And I didn't expect to have that reaction, to really be like, it was like I was choked up trying to tell her, like I was pretty much crying, trying to tell her what was going on. And she had no clue that I was pregnant for these months that I'd been working with her. So it all came as a bit of a shock, and I said to her, like, this might come as a shock to you. But she was so supportive, and I'm so grateful for that. And she understood, and she said, look, you know, Joanna, that's okay. Like, if you need any time off, take as much time off as you need, you know, we'll be okay. So I really appreciated that. And then I kind of asked her advice. I said, like, do you think I should tell, you know, the principal now, or do you think I should wait till I, you know, start bleeding or something? And she said, look, I think it's better that you tell her earlier than later. And I am so glad that I did. So the next day, literally like on the Wednesday, I emailed the principal and asked her if I could have like a small meeting with her and the deputy, just to discuss something important. But I didn't actually say it in my email what was going on, because I kind of wanted to do it, as much as it hurt and as much as it was scary to talk about, I wanted to do it in person, because I know I could get my message out a bit clearer. So the principal came down and just really supported me, and was just so good, and just, it was just really good to have her support, because I didn't know how she was going to react. Like, we hardly knew each other, and it was just like such a big thing to like tell somebody that you're going through. And especially like when you've started a job, you don't want to let anyone down, and you're just trying to put like, you know, show that you're a good worker. But it's like, well, if something like this comes along, it's just, it makes you feel really bad for having to put like work on hold or whatever. But I know that in that case, obviously health is the main thing. And yeah, I was glad that basically those two people that I told were very supportive in that realm. That next day, after I told the principal, Thursday the 14th of March, I had a shower, and I noticed like some very small brown, I can't really explain it, but I will insert a picture. I noticed there was, it was just not normal. You could easily mistake it, but because I was so in tune, because I knew what was going to be happening with my body, I was like very on it to make sure that any sign of blood or any sign of, you know, brown or anything like that. So I'll insert a couple of pictures here. It was strange because I don't remember the day, but before I started bleeding, this little bit of mucusy type, clear mucus type stuff came out a couple days prior. I didn't note it down as anything because I didn't think it was much at the time, but maybe looking back it could have been like my mucus plug. I don't really know. So after I started spotting like the lightish brownish kind of weird dot things, the blood started to get like quite light pink, and it was just like a very faint light peachy pink blood, and then it just went to kind of light bleeding, like a light browny kind of blood. and then it went to kind of bright red that same day. So in the matter of like hours, it went from like little bits of like brownie, like mini clots or something like that, to like pinkish tissue, light blood, then a little bit of dark blood, and then to bright red blood in a couple of hours. And yeah, I think I was about 13 weeks along at this time. So I had been past the first trimester before I had even showed any signs of bleeding, although I had the cramping in that first kind of 2 weeks of March. So basically from the 15th, 16, 17, all the way basically till the 19th. So basically I had the Thursday, Friday off of school, then Saturday, Sunday, obviously the weekend, which I had off, which I was again still bleeding, and then I had the Monday off, which leads us to then Tuesday the 19th of March. Now because I had been bleeding, but it hadn't been like, it had picked up, but it wasn't like heavy enough to be like classed as even like a normal period at this point. It was blood and I was bleeding and I was like having like these weird kind of clots, but it wasn't like full on blood yet. So I had been bleeding from the 14th all the way to the 19th, and on the 19th I thought, you know, I feel okay, maybe I should go into work. And that's gonna kind of lead up to the next clip that you're about to watch, because basically I thought I was okay to go to work. I've had a few days off now, like maybe it's time to get back to work because I'm bleeding, but nothing's really happened. I was a bit anxious, to be honest though, very anxious in the way of like, if I did go back to school, what would happen if like everything kind of just became very full on and intense. But I didn't really want to think that was going to be the case because I'd been bleeding lightly. I thought my body was just going to kind of do it slowly and just over a long period of time, which it has really been. But yeah, so on the 19th, my teacher aide, I'll play this clip for you so you can kind of get a better understanding. Okay, so I was going to go into work today. And my teacher aide basically just kind of said, are you sure? Like, are you okay to come in? Because I don't want you to be in pain. And I've just been contemplating whether I should go into work or not. So she kind of advised me to maybe call somebody or talk to a doctor or someone. So I called up the hospital in my local town, and basically I asked them, can I just like get some advice of what to do and whether I should go into work. Because I think my body has started naturally miscarrying, because I've been bleeding now for about, today will be my 6th day, but it hasn't been full on bleeding, it's just been kind of light, sporadic, and then kind of like blood clots, different sizes. And so she said, like, how much have you been bleeding? And so, yeah, I said it probably wouldn't be as much as a normal period at this point. I've just been having some cramping, like mild to moderate, so it's been a little bit painful. But yeah, so they basically just recommended me to come into the hospital, and they want to check me and do some tests and basically see if everything's happening or what, I don't know. But I don't know, this kind of just really upset me because I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, at the moment, like, this is probably the most sore my cramps have been today, and I'm getting like pressure kind of here and here. So I'm just a little bit worried and scared, but Jamie's coming home and he's going to take me to the hospital, and I just think we'll go from there. And as if this experience is not like crazy and sad and shit as it is already, it's just like reliving and bringing those things back up, which is annoying. Anyways, I'm gonna go, and yeah. So basically in those clips you heard just a moment ago that my teacher aide suggested that I seek medical advice, which I did, and basically it was a bit of a shock because I called them up and they basically said oh, so you're bleeding, we basically we wouldn't recommend you to go into work, and we'd like to see you in A&E for A&E is accident and emergency. So for me that was quite a big thing. It was like, oh okay, right, like you want to see me like now, today, when I was thinking about even just going into work. So it was very, very like just full on, and just like kind of just a rush of emotion overcame me, because I was just like almost not reliving the sadness, but it was just like, it just put me on the spot to say, you need help, you need to come into the hospital. And that kind of scared me. So I called up Jamie and I said to him like what was going on, and I was like in tears, and he said, okay, I'm coming home and I'll come with you. So we ended up going on the 19th of March to the hospital, to the A&E. So we waited, I think it was about 2 hours in A&E before we actually got seen. I went there about 1 o'clock, and it wasn't till 3 o'clock that I actually was seen, and it took them an hour with me to kind of go over and check and monitor me. So basically when I got in, they kind of asked me a little backstory, like, oh, like how far along are you, and they asked me like the story about it, and it was just quite I don't know how to describe it, but it was a bit of a weird scenario, because when we were in the room talking to the doctor, he was like, so you've started bleeding, how do you know that you're miscarrying? And I had told the nurse prior that I had been diagnosed with a blighted ovum. So it was almost as if it was just like a punch in the face, like, how do I know that I'm bleeding when a blighted ovum will always end in a miscarriage? Like, it's inevitable, because it has not gotten past stage 1. So I just kind of thought, as the doctor, if someone has told you that they've been diagnosed with a blighted ovum and you've started to bleed, it's most likely you're having a miscarriage. But the fact that they had to ask me, how do you know? Like, I've been bleeding for 8 days, like, it's not, my period's not come, I'm pregnant, but I'm not pregnant, because it's just such a confusing scenario. So anyway, I was there. Jamie tried his very, very best to cheer me up, and if this video is not too long, I will insert like a little clip of him playing with a spider that he made friends with during that appointment. It was just so crazy. Are you gonna make it to the final straw, right? Oh my god.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, you got the jump. But yeah, it was just a bit of I'm glad I went, because it kind of put into perspective what was going on, and it kind of made me get into gear to what was about to come up in the next couple of days. But basically, they took my blood test, they took 2 vials of my blood, they did blood work, and they also took a urine test, and then they didn't do an ultrasound that time, but they did chat to me, and they did my vitals, like they checked my breathing, they checked my heart rate, they checked all like my blood pressure and all that stuff, my ears and whatever, my mouth. So they did all my vitals to make sure everything was okay, and then, yeah, so it took them about an hour to check all of that and monitor that, and basically they came to the conclusion of what we're going to do is we are going to refer you to the early pregnancy assessment clinic, which is still at this hospital, but it's in another section, because we can't really help you at this point here, so you need to be referred. So I was then referred, and they got me to go into the hospital for the early assessment pregnancy clinic on the 21st of March 2019. So on the 21st of March I went in. It was a Thursday. So I went to the appointment, and basically she had gotten the notes from the doctor that we had seen prior at the A&E emergency place, And she basically kind of went through, asked me the story again. I had to go and tell my story again about being diagnosed with blighted ovum, how far along I was. And at that point, I think I was about 14 weeks along, and still, like, I had started bleeding, but the whole thing hadn't happened fully. 14 weeks, like, that's pretty far along, especially for a blighted ovum. And in that appointment, the doctor basically said, look, I think if it was to fully happen naturally, it could take months. It really could take a long time. And because your body has started naturally, which is good because it's recognised that the pregnancy isn't viable, but I think you're past the point of actually waiting. So you're going to need medical assistance to help you pass all the tissue. And so she said, I think the best option here, like, you have 3 choices. You can choose to wait it out naturally if you like to, but again, that could take like months, and I wouldn't recommend that because you can be at risk for infection. Secondly, we can prescribe you MISOPROSTOL or Cytotec, which will help you basically expel the tissue. And what they don't tell you is that pill is basically the pill that is prescribed for abortions. Or you can do a D&C, which we do offer here. So I was like, oh, I didn't realise they actually even offered a D&C at that hospital, because at the doctor that I was seeing to get my results back previous to that, she said that the closest one was a place that's a little way away from where I live. So the fact that they could do one here was like, it kind of shocked me a little bit. That day, I was insert a picture of a few photos that I took that day of the pharmacy, and actually just like the support Jamie gave me during that time, and getting the MISOPROSTOL. I think it was about $13 something. It was so, like, if I'm honest, it was so crappy having to stand there and buy that. To buy that pill, I didn't want to spend my money on that. Like, it was something that I was like, I never want to be in this situation. Like, it just made me really, like, question everything. It just really did. And it just was, I was just in such a confused, sad, upset mental space that I just couldn't really, it was just hard to handle, I guess. So I decided I wasn't going to take the MISOPROSTOL that night, because by the time we got home it was later on in the afternoon, and I didn't want to be going through like the pain and the blood overnight, and I was just hoping that it wasn't going to happen naturally before I took the pill. It'll be better if I wake up in the morning on Friday and on the 22nd, and I can take the pill then. Now, just rewinding back a little bit, in that appointment with the lady doctor, in the early pregnancy assessment clinic appointment, the lady doctor basically said, if you decide on the pill, which we did, and we came to that agreement, and that was best for the body, because she kind of explained that with a D&C there are still they're quite, not big risk, but anytime that you go under general anesthesia, there's risk, because your cervix is opened and you are inserting something into that. And again, no judgment for anybody who has gone through that, and I know that some people, it just needs to be done through that way. And for me, just because I had more of the option not to get it done, I just chose not to. And I just wanted to like go through that as natural as possible. I know that's medication helping me, but I just didn't want to be like operated on, because it is in effect a mini surgery. For those people that don't know what a D&C is, if I'm talking and you're like, what's a D&C, and you're thinking, what's that? So a D&C basically is where they clean out all the tissue. D&C, I think it stands for dilation and cartilage. So yeah, it is a mini procedure. You do have to go under general anesthesia, and it is a surgery. In effect, it doesn't take that long from what I've heard. There are risks being, you know, like whoever goes and does the operation could scar you from the inside if they do a bad job, which doesn't generally happen, but it is still a risk. MISOPROSTOL probably has risks as well. The doctor did not mention anything really with the risks, but she just said, look, it's better to do it probably, she thought, for in my situation, because I had already started bleeding in my case, that it would be better just to do it. She recommended that the pill would be a better suited option for me, and then that way I wouldn't have to do a surgery either. So I decided on that, we both agreed, got the pill. And then on the Friday, now this is where everything is starting to kind of happen. Okay, so this brings us to now. So just picture that I've just gotten the MISOPROSTOL from the hospital and I'm about to take it. This next clip, it is one that I was very emotional in, and it was a very hard thing to go through. And for those people that are thinking, geez, like she doesn't seem upset now, it's because I've had a bit of time to kind of grieve, and you can see in my clips that I have had a lot of time being upset, and especially in this clip coming up, I am very, very emotional and I'm very sad, and you know, I am crying a bit as well. So I've had a bit of time to grieve over this, so I'm reflecting back now, looking from a bit of a stronger headspace just to clear that up, because there literally were days like it was just so hard. Sometimes you're just like, this is just such a shit scenario to be in, just so sad, and you just get nothing really that good out of it, apart from just like, you know, physical hurt and emotional hurt. But I mean, it does make you stronger as a person, it does open your eyes a lot. But this next clip, like I said, is going to be an emotional one. I am going to insert some pictures after the clip, and I will just mention here that if you are below the age of 18 or you're somebody that doesn't like blood or graphic stuff, then please don't watch this next part, or just skip. If you can't handle the TMI and the graphicness, this is probably not the video for you, and you can feel free to click off now. But if you are wanting to know kind of what was involved and what I kind of experienced, then keep on watching. Okay, I'm feeling really hot and a bit scared right now. So yesterday we went to the early pregnancy clinic. Basically the doctor said, because of how far along I am, I will have to, well, it was recommended for me to probably take the pill to help expel the gestational sac and the tissue and whatnot. So yeah, we basically got the pill from the pharmacy at the doctor's after trying to get it from the pharmacy, but they didn't have it at Chemist Warehouse. So now I'm here sitting. This is so scary. Like, I know this has to be done, but it's just so scary. So, right, this is the pill. I'm like literally shaking. So it's called MISOPROSTOL, or otherwise known as Cytotec. So basically it just says for the directions. Sorry. Swallow whole 2 tablets immediately, then repeat 2 tablets after 24 hours if needed. So basically the doctor said if your bleeding hasn't started within the 24 hours, then you will have to repeat the dose. Now it's a bit of a different situation for me because I have already started bleeding, and I've been bleeding for 8 days already. It's only been kind of like light to moderate with just like cramping and stuff, but nothing that's not been manageable, but it's still been like just emotionally hard. So my partner will be home soon, but I'm just I think this is far out. Sorry. I think this is the hardest part to go through. Like, although we know that, you know, it's far out my makeup, that we've been diagnosed with the blighted ovum. So it means there's obviously no baby, but it's just still, it's just scary and hard, and like, because I don't know how my body's going to react because I've already been bleeding. I don't know how it's going to affect it. It's just been, I guess, mentally exhausting and draining, to be honest. So I said I was going to take this pill at 10 o'clock. It's 10:17 now. So I'm just really scared. But I know it has to be done, and I'm just worried that I just hope it can work successfully, and I don't know what to expect. I don't know how my body's going to react. I don't know how intense it's going to be. So I'm just, yeah. I think this is just the hardest part of actually taking it, maybe. I don't know. When you haven't gone through something before, it just gets really scary. So I'm gonna take the 2 now. So this is what they look like. Oh, I thought they'd be smaller than that. So that's them. I'm just gonna cut that in half first. Oh, so they look a bit smaller actually. They're like, so that's 1. Jeez. That's 2. So I've got my other 2 there, and because I've already started bleeding, I guess I would just have to see if this increases the bleeding. I don't know whether I'll need those 2 or not, but we'll see. It's just so like sad and so scary, and it's just sad because like this is part of the process of what someone who's having who didn't want a baby, wanted to have an abortion, would go through, and it's for us, especially my feelings, and my partner's feelings as well, but it was never unwanted. This is literally the hardest part. Oh my God. Okay, I'm so scared. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Oh my God, I'm so scared. Okay. texted my partner to say that I've taken them. So my MISOPROSTOL, also known as side attack experience, was a hard one, but also not what I kind of expected to the full extent. Now, the doctor who I spoke to did say that it's going to be like a normal period, but let me tell you, lovely, that was not like a normal period. If that was a normal period, I am scared for anyone that has a normal period like that, and I feel for those people that do, if they even have a normal period like that. The stuff that kind of exited my body was just bizarre, but also like very human. Like, it was very strange to see and feel what I felt exiting my body. Like, it was very strange. But basically I took the pill early in the morning, not too early, I think it was about like 10:15 on the Friday. The cramping, I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't worse. Now, because I had been cramping for like a few weeks before I even had the cramping from the MISOPROSTOL, I think I was kind of almost used to cramping, the cramping sensation. So I was able to get through it with just Panadol, and I am glad that they weren't severe, because I know some people go through it quite severe. Now, I did take the pills, as you probably would have saw in the clip, orally. Now, one thing that I didn't really realise at the time, which if I ever had to go through that again through the pill, I would try and dissolve it in my cheek, only for the fact is I took it orally, just downed it with some water, and what was about to come was pretty intense. So the cramping started basically an hour after I took it, and then in 4 hours time, that's when, well, I went for a nap, and then I woke up, and what I felt was just blood like gushing on, not gushing, but like falling out of my body. It was really weird. I was laying on the side and I just felt this, and I was like, oh my goodness, okay Jamie, like it's starting. I got up to go to the toilet, and then all of a sudden this big, just like, now this is going to be super disgusting and gross, and I am sorry, but it is what it is, and it is what happened. It just felt like this kind of slimy plop. I can't even describe really like the sensation exactly. And if you're a guy watching this, you're probably like, I don't get it, because you don't have that part of you. Like, you don't have a vagina, sorry. But you won't maybe really know what that feels like. But it was just like something fell out of me, and I was like, what in the world? Now, while this was happening, I was feeling a little bit hot, because I think because I woke up from a nap and I got up so quickly.